What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and in this video I'm checking out two new wallets from Alpaka, the first being the Up Cardholder V2 as well as the Ark Card Wallet. So these are brand new from Alpaka. I'm an Alpaka ambassador, but I ended up pre-ordering both of these myself. Big fan of really all their products, so really wanted to get my hands on them a little bit early, so jumped on the pre-order. You saved a couple dollars. The Up Cardholder V2 you can grab now for $29. I believe I paid $25 on the pre-order. The Ark Card Wallet is $39, and again, I believe I paid $34 on the pre-order, so save $5 each or $4 each, something like that. But both are going to be made out of the same XPAC material, and I'm going to talk about both of them. And so I'll start with the Up Cardholder. If you're more interested in the Ark Wallet, feel free to skip ahead. But I'm switching over to these probably for the last 2 months or so, but from mid-November to late November, I've been carrying two other wallets, both from Domain Leather. I'm going to be doing a video on those in the next week or so. If you're interested in something leather, that might be a better option. But if you are looking for something super compact, front pocket wallet, these are both really good options at a really decent price. I would say almost a budget wallet. They're not, I mean, there's definitely cheaper wallets out there, but I think $29 and $39 is a really good price for a super durable material. If you're not familiar, XPAC VX21 is the material they use on these. It's a sailcloth, and they use upcycled sailcloth. It's all zero waste and naturally weatherproof and UV proof, so not gonna fade much, not gonna really show a lot of signs of wear like you might get with some other wallets. Sometimes I do like a nice patina, but these ones aren't really going to do that. It's going to look pretty much the same forever. You can wash it off, rinse the material off if it gets a little bit dirty, and cleans back right up to new. And so the Up Cardholder V2 is advertised as holding up to 4 to 6 cards. Definitely on both these, I feel like 4 is a better sweet spot than 6, but we'll look at that. So features: stores up to 6 cards, weatherproof fabric, UV proof, quick access slot pull tab, which you see here. The Alpaka tab is the quick access pull tab, made with upcycled materials, 100% carbon neutral fabric, and made in USA fabric. It's an important distinction because Alpaka is an Australian brand, designed in Australia. They source the fabric in the US, but these are actually assembled in China. So that can be a little bit of a tricky wording. They don't really advertise that on the card, but it does say it on the website if you're more curious about that. So this is barely larger than a credit card, 3.66 inches tall by 2.48 inches wide. And so this is gonna be a perfect front pocket wallet. It really just disappears in your pocket. It's pretty thin, and the way you should load it out with kind of a more minimal loadout, it really doesn't get very thick at all. So I have some kind of sample cards here that I'm going to use to show the loadout, starting with the usual fake ID here. Putting that in the front slot. This middle slot is the quick access slot. You can put a few cards in there. I'm going to overload it a little bit at first and then go with my true kind of loadout. So I'll put 3 cards in there and 2 more in the back, which is really the max capacity. And for me, this feels a little bit tight. So with the outer cards, you can't really slide them out when it's loaded like that. You can with enough effort, but they're not really just going to catch on your finger and slide out. You really have to pinch them and pull them. And so it doesn't feel as natural. Same thing with the quick pull slot. It pulls them out no problem, but because it's a little bit thicker, separating them is a little bit more effort. Not as much as those front cards, but a little more effort than you might want. And so I'm going to go down to what I would typically carry. So I put 2 cards in that middle slot, the ID, and take out 1 more of these cards. So my typical carry will be my ID, my debit card, sometimes a credit card, and sometimes my business card, either debit or credit. And so a max of 4 cards, which is how we have this loaded out. And with 4 cards in here, everything slides out really easily. You can see I did that with really no effort. You don't have to pinch grip them or anything like that. The card slot, again, same thing. It's much looser, much easier to access everything. And so with this loadout, it's a really, really great minimal wallet. And I like the quick pull tab. One thing to note is there's no way that I know of to put that quick pull tab back in without inserting a card. And so to put it in, if you're going to empty the wallet and you don't want it just dangling around, I would just put cards in there and then remove the cards without the quick pull tab, and it will put it back into place. But couple things to note here: no ID card window, and that's true for both wallets. So there's no window to see your card if you get carded or need to show your ID for any reason. You have to remove it from the wallet. Not the biggest deal. It's not like I'm constantly getting carded or having to remove my card. So I don't mind that, but if that's something where, you know, you're going places where you need to show ID to get in and you'd rather have a window, neither of these have that option, so it might not be the best option for you. But if you don't care, perfect spot for it is in that front slot. Now there's also on this, the Cardholder V2, is that there's no place to put cash. In theory, you could put it in between two cards, a folded bill, something like that, and make it work. It's gonna make it a little bit thicker, but it's really not intended to carry cash. And so if you're someone who carries a lot of cash, again, this might not be the greatest option for you, but if that's not a deal breaker, I think it's a really cool option. I'm definitely gonna get a lot of use out of this one. The next one, the Ark Card Wallet, I'll probably get a little bit more use out in the near term because Rich from True Budget EDC and Prepping is doing a challenge where you can only carry one wallet. There's some other parts of it, which I'll do a video on at some point before February, but excuse me. So I'm only going to be carrying this wallet for February, and I went with this one mainly because I have a few things going on in February where I'm going to need some cash. I'm not usually someone who carries cash. In fact, most of the time I put cash in a video, it's the same bills. I just don't spend them, and that way I don't have to go get more. And so this one is the same material, XPAC VX21, a little bit bigger, 3.94 inches by 2.91 inches. And I noticed there's a kind of typo where they didn't remove something on this features card, but UV proof, slim design, weatherproof fabric, a lot of the same stuff. Store up to 6 cards, quick access slot, pull tab, which doesn't exist. I'm guessing this is probably the quick access slot, but there's no pull tab in it, so that might be what they're talking about, I'm not sure, but probably shouldn't be on there. Made with upcycled materials, 100% carbon neutral fabric, and again, made in USA fabric. And so this one's a little bit different design and kind of the same issue. So they advertise up to 6 cards. It definitely fits 6 cards, but it's a little bit tight out of the box. And so over time that might break in and might not be the biggest deal. I guess it doesn't matter, I'll just put a credit card in there. So I'm gonna there's 2 slots on each side. So I'm gonna put 1 in the front slot, 2 in the back slot, and then do the same thing on the back side. And when you do that, it definitely gets pretty snug. So it's not unusable with 6 slots, and I'm sure it's going to break in a little bit over time, but my experience with this material is that it doesn't loosen up as much as some other materials. So like leather, for example, really loosens up over time, where this material doesn't as much. And you can see how much effort it took to put that card in there. It's the same thing for removing them. So once you want a card, you have to get a nice pinch on there with 6 cards. But if you pare it back down to 4 cards, like I did on the other wallet, then everything becomes a lot more accessible. You can get stuff in and out much easier than when you have 6 cards in there. So that's definitely the recommended configuration. 6 cards, a little bit snug, and 4 cards pretty comfortably. And so the other main feature of this wallet, so you're foregoing that quick pull tab, but instead you get this little center section, which you can see is a nice high-vis orange, and you can probably also see has the Alpaka logo in there, that little llama logo, which is a slot for cash. It is a little bit kind of finicky with folded half. You can get it in there, but what I like to do a little bit better is just do a quarter fold and put it in there, and that seems to work pretty well. Again, not carrying that much cash, but in the event that I do need to carry cash, and there are going to be some events I'm going to in February that require cash, that'll allow me to put money in there for parking and valet and that sort of thing, and have the cash, but really still be pretty compact. This is definitely still a front pocket wallet. It can go in the back pocket if you want, but still small enough that it can ride in your front pocket and not take up a whole ton of space. So really nice that they have that option. I would imagine you can probably remove this stitch to loosen everything up a little bit. And I don't know that they'd advise that, but just like with kind of a suit, you can get a little stitch remover, remove that stitch, and just open this up a little bit if you're going to be using that and you want to do half fold cash instead of quarter folded cash. It might work a little bit better and keep it from getting too thick. This isn't even that many bills. I think it's probably 4 or 5 bills, and it's a little bit thicker already. So let's see, I have a 20, a 10, and 2 ones maybe? Yeah, 2 ones, so 4 bills. And so it gets a little bit thick when you do the quarter fold. Obviously, if you're carrying a lot more bills, it's going to get a lot thicker. So it might be worth exploring, but again, that's really up to you. If you want to remove that stitch, it would be very easy to do, and I'm sure you wouldn't even notice it being gone. And I don't think it would create any problems with stuff falling out, with cash falling out. I think it would still hold in there pretty snugly, but obviously haven't done it myself, so kind of tread carefully if you're going to be customizing it. But overall, I think a really cool option. Again, the one I'm going to be carrying for February, and I'll probably do a more in-depth video on these down the line, or at least talk about them in another video. But for now, I just kind of wanted to show them off. If it's something you think you're interested in, I'll put links in the description. Again, it's an affiliate link, but no extra cost to you, as well as a coupon code where you can save 15%, and that's Jacob15 off. So definitely check those out. One other note, I mentioned the ID, neither have ID windows. The Up Cardholder V2 doesn't have an option for carrying cash. And then the last thing is that neither of them are RFID blocking, which is obviously a much bigger problem today than it used to be. And so if you do want to make them RFID safe, you can take out this card, put it somewhere else, and they sell, not Alpaka, but just in general, these RFID blocking cards. I have a couple different versions of them that you can just put in your credit card slot. And so I could put this one in the back slot, and then just always make sure that when you're putting it in your pocket, you're putting out that slot on the front. So the back side of it is on your leg, which I just realized I was pulling off camera where you wouldn't be able to see it. But the back side of it's on your leg, and the exposed side is that RFID blocker. So that way, if someone does try to scan your cards, it's going to block it and you can protect it. You could always put one on each side. These ones are really, really thin, so you're not going to have as much problems as you would with a credit card. It's not the thickness of a credit card. This one is the thickness of a credit card, so just kind of depending on which version you go with will be really how thick it gets. But I think that's a pretty good option as well with these wallets, since they're not RFID blocking. But let me know what you think of both of these down in the comments below, which one you prefer, which one you'd carry. And be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and as always, I hope you have a great one. Take care.